A very warm good morning to all of you. Dear students, once again, I would like to welcome all of you to a new session of the Civics class. Today, we are continuing with the same chapter from Civics, chapter number 3, Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, part 7. Do you remember what we were discussing in the previous class? In the last class, we were discussing an important point, that is Prime Minister and the Cabinet. The power distributed between the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. The relationship between the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, that's what we were discussing in the last class. Today, we are going to discuss two important points. First one, Prime Minister inside the Parliament. What is the role of Prime Minister inside the Parliament, or how the powers, or what all kinds of powers are given to the Prime Minister which he could use inside the Parliament. Second one, Prime Minister as leader of the nation. What is the role, or how he can be considered as the leader of the nation? These are the two important points which we are going to discuss today. So without wasting time, let's move to the class. Prime Minister inside the Parliament. First one, leader of Lok Sabha. The leader of the majority party in Parliament is being appointed as the Prime Minister. We have already seen this particular point in the first part of this chapter. In the case of appointment of a Prime Minister, the President is asking the leader of the majority party to form the government. So leader of the majority party in the Parliament becomes the Prime Minister. Since he becomes the Prime Minister, he will be the leader of the House, because in the Parliament, the majority party will be taking major decisions. So the Prime Minister will be getting the support of majority people in the Parliament, or the majority is being supported by the members, and they will be helping Prime Minister in doing all the different activities. So the leader of the majority party becomes the Prime Minister. That's why the leader of the House will be the Prime Minister. Second one, spokesperson of the government. Chief spokesman of the government in the Parliament. All the different activities, all the major decisions, different policies which are being taken by the government will be announced to the members of the Parliament as well as to the whole nation will be by the Prime Minister. You might be remembering the day when the Prime Minister declared about the money monetization. So he addressed the nation, he addressed the media, and he was the person who has given all the information to the nation. Chief spokesman of the government makes all important announcements. So I think it will be very clear to you. Spokesperson of the government. National policies on floor of the House. The nation will be changing its policies, its different terms, its different decisions in course of time. You might be remembering the government will be cancelling certain rules and regulations, and the same government will be implementing some new rules and regulations. So the policies of the nation will be getting changed according to the time, and it is the Prime Minister who is informing all these things to the nation, making all important announcements. And third point is defender of government policies. Defends the government in the Parliament. So in the Parliament, both opposition as well as the ruling party will be there. Ruling party will be under the leadership of the Prime Minister. At the same time, opposition party also will be there. And all these people will be looking into the activities of the Prime Minister as well as the government, the cabinet ministers and other ministers. So there will be number of criticisms, evaluations, and everything will be from the other people, means the members of the Parliament, especially opposition parties. They will blame the government, they will criticize the government. There will be number of problems. They will be pointing out the mistakes from the side of the government. So in all those cases, the Prime Minister will be taking up the responsibility of all those things, and he acts as a defender of the government in the Parliament. When policy or a minister comes under attack in the Parliament, it is the duty of the Prime Minister to support him. We have already seen the duties and responsibilities of a Prime Minister. He has the power to appoint a person, or he has the power to choose a person as the minister. At the same time, he can disqualify a minister. So if there is a mistake or misbehavior or mislead or any irresponsible behavior from the side of a minister will be coming under the responsibility of the Prime Minister. So whenever a minister or a policy is being attacked in the Parliament, Prime Minister acts as a defender of all those problems or issues. And of course he will be there to defend the issue. The fourth point is intervention in case of controversial issues. In time, there will be a number of controversial issues like the language issue, then center-state relations. There will be a number of problems between number of states, and all those things will be coming under the discussion in the Parliament. Then price rise, the price of basic needs or basic things will be getting increased, or hike in the price of different things. All those things will be an important topic which we will be discussing in the Parliament, or atrocities on women. So all these kinds of controversial issues will be discussed in the Parliament, and when those kinds of discussions are taking place, of course the members of the Parliament will be losing their temper. So they will react very badly towards the government. In such an ugly situation arises in any of the houses, ends with the intervention of the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister has to give an official answer to those kinds of problems. What all activities or what all actions are going to be taken by the government, as well as not only in the central government but also in the state governments as well. So whenever there is controversial issues, it is the responsibility of the Prime Minister to solve it, to get involved in it, and to get a solution to those problems. Now we are going to discuss the second point, that is Prime Minister as leader of the nation. He represents the nation. As we have already seen, majority party's leader becomes the Prime Minister of our country. And how the majority parties are being, or how he becomes the leader of the majority party, of course the representatives of the people elects a person as the leader of the nation. That's why he represents the nation. His voice is the nation's voice. So whenever he is taking a decision, it will be getting supported by the members of Parliament, especially Lok Sabha. So when he announced something, it is the voice of the nation. So the Prime Minister's voice is the nation's voice, or in other words, his voice is the nation's voice. Even the opposition parties support during national crisis like war. So there will be no any kind of criticism or blaming on the ruling parties when there will be some kinds of critical situations, national crisis like war, or if there is some kinds of serious natural disaster or some natural calamities. So in those cases, in such kinds of issues or crisis, of course even the opposition parties also will be supporting Prime Minister to do the things properly or in a very effective manner. Third one, decides kind of relation with other countries. So it's a responsibility, or it's a duty, or it's a power of the Prime Minister to decide the relation with other country, even neighboring countries or any other nation. So if Prime Minister is deciding that one another country is our enemy, then for the nation that country will be enemy. If the Prime Minister decides that we have to have a friend relation with one nation, of course we have to have, or we must consider that country as our friend. So decides kind of relation with other countries. Fourth one says that tries to protect the interest of the country. So whenever he address the nation, or whenever he address some international forms, or whenever there is some international meetings, he will be always trying to protect the interest of the country. There he is not having any personal interest, rather he will be always safeguarding, or he will be always standing for the interest of the country. Discusses matters of natural interest, mutual interest with other leaders. We have better idea about all these things because our Prime Minister is making visit to different nations in order to have good relations with other countries as well as to develop mutual interest with other leaders, keeping the interest of India in mind. So whenever he is visiting one another leader, he'll be having only one intention in his mind, that's about the interest of his country, interest of India in mind. Fifth point, during general election, it is the proposed prime minister for whom or against whom the people vote, which means during the general election, there will be a prime minister candidate for each party, and people will be considering about that personality and casting a vote for that particular party. I hope it's clear to you. In the case of general election, there will be a proposed prime minister for each party, especially major parties, and people will be considering the candidate, the prime minister candidate in their mind, and they will be casting vote. So if people are casting vote for a particular party, it means they are expecting that proposed prime minister candidate will become the prime minister. And sixth one, he is an ex officio chairman of the Niti Aayog and the Atomic Energy Commission. So these are the different points which speaks about prime minister as the leader of nation. So dear students, I hope it's very clear to you, and here we are winding up today's class, and in the next class we will be going to discuss about individual responsibility and collective responsibility of ministers. So still we meet in the next class. I would like to sign off. Thank you.